nutrition security from the perspective of biodiversity for the last 4 sessions. And in this session, we are very much focusing on how the declining biodiversity is affecting or impacting the nutrition security to be very specific. And in this session, there are 3 speakers, and the session will be chaired by Dr. Kk Narayan. Dr. Kk Narayan is a plant breeder and molecular biologist, and he has been working with company Metahelix Life Sciences and serving in different advisory bodies and committees in several scientific task forces on agriculture biotechnology in the Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. Now I hand over the session to Dr. Kk Narayan, and he will handle the session now. Thank you, sir.
Can you get the other speakers also on the stage?
Yeah, I request other 3 speakers, Dr. Nedunjalian, Dr. Hariharan, and Dr. Jacob John, to come on to the dais.
Dr. Jacob John? I'll go in. Thank you. You help me with this mic? Okay, it's on. So good morning and welcome to the second session of the day. The title is Narrowing Agro-biodiversity, I guess, in the farms and the challenges on food and nutrition security. A few remarks before we go on to the speakers. Sometimes we don't think of it, but agriculture, by its very nature, is against diversity in the farm. Now, which farmer would like to cultivate in his field 10 different varieties of rice, each with its own duration and stuff like that? So, I think Dr. Nambudri will bear me out. When we define a variety, or when we designate a variety, the 2 features that are critical is, one is homogeneity or uniformity, and the second is distinctiveness. So your variety release committee and other people, only if these 2 parameters are satisfied. So if I say I am cultivating a variety of Jaya, that means the Jaya has to be uniform. It has to be homogeneous in the field. There is genetic uniformity also. And it has to have distinctiveness from, let's say, IR20, another variety. So given that situation, it is but natural that farmers choose varieties which give them the maximum benefit. It could be in the form of better taste, but these days, we heard farming is like, it's not a livelihood just thing, it's also to make incomes. It's a kind of a mini industry. If you really come to think of it, 55% of all working people in this country are engaged in farming. So it's not the Tatas or the Birlas, which is the largest private single industry in the country. I would say it is farming. But yes, the individual units within this industry are all small and scattered. But if you aggregate them, it's really a huge thing. And in that case, it is increasingly farmers choose varieties on what returns they get out of cultivating that variety. But yes, we know that uniformity or homogeneity, genetic uniformity, leads to vulnerability. So when we look at it in the context of climate change, adaptability, you need to infuse some amount of diversity. Now, in terms of multiple choices of varieties, the whole onus of maintaining all the diverse forms of cultivated crops should not only be on farmers. It should be in agencies like NBPGR, National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources, the universities which have their gene banks, in-situ, ex-situ, like our MSSR of CAbC, which has got its own set of collections which is there, because these will come to use when you have to build in resilience for climate or diseases or other things like that. So having said that, I think it's an interesting topic. It's about balancing various aspects of it, maintaining the diversity, increasing the income generation, making these resources available for making adaptive changes to address the climate change issues. I think these things have to be balanced in the perception. We should not, as a community, it's very important that we should not start looking at the elephant like the five blind men, So somebody sees the elephant only as a pillar, somebody sees it as a brush if they touch the tail. We need to have a holistic appreciation of this issue. So to discuss the various aspects of it, using the elephant analogy, somebody will talk about the tail, somebody will talk about the tusk, but we should put it all together and then tailor our actions to what emerges out of the synthesis or consolidation of the different points of view. So I have a list of eminent speakers to the right and left of me. Let us start this set of presentations with Dr. M. Narayan. Dr. Narayan is an agronomist. He has been associated with the Center for Tuber Crops Research in Bhubaneswar for a long time. So he will give his perspective on this topic of narrowing agro-biodiversity and its impact on climate resilience and food and nutrition security. Dr. Narayan.
Root and tuber crop are the third most important food crop after cereals and grain legumes. As you know that root and tuber crops are highest energy yielder, highest dry matter producer if you look at a per day basis. And this group of tuber crops can fit into any farming system. The farming system, yesterday, Dr. B. Mohan Kumar was referring that only 10% of the biodiversity is in hot spot, 90% of biodiversity in cold spot. In this cold spot, when you look at this group of crops can very well fit, and these crops can give higher productivity. And also these crops, this group of crops are said to be a climate resilient crop. FAO has declared 4 climate resilient crops. Among the 4, 2 are tuber crop. One is cassava, another one is diascorea. And this group of crops not only high yielders, but also it is rich in minerals and nutrition. Especially vitamins are very rich, and minerals, micronutrients are very high in this kind of crops. And you know that cassava, very popular crop of Kerala. Apart from that, many other tuber crops are there. Sweet potato, yams, aroids, yam bean, arrowroot. I would say that when compared to Western Ghats, in broken hills of Eastern Ghats, lot of varieties of tuber crops are grown. It is cultivated, domesticated, and even farmers are going to the extent of developing product and selling. I will come to that point. You know very well about cassava, I need not tell about that. It is a very popular crop of South India. But coming to sweet potato, it is a crop of Eastern India, especially Odisha. Around 40,000 hectares of sweet potato cultivation is there. And it is very well adapted to climate resilient conditions, because you know that in eastern India is very well prone to drought and floods. Floods will be there during monsoon season, and droughts will be there in between the monsoon season. Dry spells will prevail. And these set of crops are having the advantage that it will not flower. And that is the main point for successful of these crops under changing climate. And aeroids are there, other yam bean, arrowroot. Arrowroot probably you will be knowing one species, a Maranta species is very popular in Kerala. But in Odisha, we have 3 species of arrowroot and 3 species are domesticated, cultivated and products are also developed. And apart from this is some of the visuals of tuber crop, cassava, you know, sweet potato, yams, elephant foot yam, colocasia. Yam bean probably, you may not seen this one. This is called ready-made food crop. Just to remove the skin, you can eat. It is like a glucon-D, how you are eating. It is a very taste sweet. And this is the only one tuber crop propagated sexually, produced seeds. It's a seed propagated tuber crop, very popular in eastern India. And arrowroot, I said that there are 3 types of arrowroots. It's very popularly cultivated in eastern India. One is West Indian arrowroot, Queensland arrowroot, and East Indian arrowroot. I will discuss this one later. Now let us see the energy production from these tuber crops. You can compare to rice. The energy production per day per hectare is very high in sweet potato and yams. The coming to other aspects, mainly fiber. Dietary fiber is the main source for tuber crop and minerals. As you know that many of companies nowadays trusting more on dietary fiber. Nutri-biscuit is very popularly marketed by Britannia. It contains only dietary fiber only. So these dietary fibers we can get from more in tuber crops. And these are very rich and also very rich in minerals. And you can see the energy production also from elephant foot yam is the highest per hectare. And calcium, magnesium, potassium, these are the main, tuber crops are the main source of potassium. And you can see that raw taro and greater yam, they are all very rich in calcium and phosphorus, potassium. And vitamins, different both from A, B, C, all the vitamins you can find, vitamin K and E also you can find rich in. Apart from that, tubers and leaves of sweet potato is very rich in lutein. Lutein is very important for retina development. That's why many of doctors will recommend that lutein tablets and you can consume. And in tribal area it is a very popular. The sprouts, young sprouts, they used to remove and dry and they store. And they consume later. And it's a very popular practice in tribal areas. Wine tops are, especially sweet potato tops are very rich in anthocyanin also. Then we have released a few vitamin A rich varieties from our center and from Thiruvananthapuram center. We released 6 number of orange plus sweet potato varieties which are rich in vitamin A, that is beta carotene. Among all the 6 varieties, Busona is the one variety which contains 40 milligram of beta carotene out of 100 gram of fresh tuber white. And it looks like a carrot only. You can consume as a salad also. And apart from that vitamin A content, the bioavailability of vitamin A from Busona is very high when compared to carrot. The bioavailability of Busona from this orange plus sweet potato variety is around 70%. When it is carrot, it is reported around 60% only. And we have purple flesh variety which is rich in anthocyanin, 95 milligram per 100 gram of fresh tuber. And you know that anthocyanin is a scavenger of free radicals, the free radicals which causes cancer in human body. And it is a very good source, sweet potato is a very good source, and we have released this variety from Bhubaneswar, Bhu Krishna we have given the name. And also apart from that, one more variety is there in greater yam, Sri Neelima. It is also rich in anthocyanin. This variety is released from Thiruvananthapuram. This is a variety, Bhuswana and Bhukrishna. Bhuswana 14 milligram of fresh tuber beta-carotene content, Bhukrishna 95 milligram. Apart from the pigments, it contains around 3.5% dietary fiber. This is also very important. Dietary fiber is nowadays much importance is given to dietary fiber, and it is a low GI varieties. These both are. And the other important tuber crop is elephant put-yam. Elephant put-yam is rich in natural antioxidants and rich in calcium, potassium, phosphorus, and also rich in zinc. As you know that during COVID-19, most of the doctors used to prescribe zinc tablets along with vitamin D and antibiotics. So this crop very rich in zinc also, and apart from that it contains omega-3 fatty acids. So omega-3 fatty acid, calcium, potassium and zinc are very rich. So I want to tell one thing here. Usain Bolt, your 100-meter running race champion, world champion, 3 times consecutively he won. After third time he won, then press people asked him what is the secret of his success. He said, my secret is elephant put-yam. But nobody understood what is that elephant put-yam. Nobody knows also, press people. And he could not explain the reason what is that elephant put-yam, how it helped. But the reason is, it is rich in calcium. Around 400 milligram per 100 gram tuber it contains. Calcium is essential for bone development. And it is rich in potassium. Potassium is very essential for muscle movements. And it contains omega-3 fatty acids. It is very essential for brain development and brain coordination. So when an athlete is in a running race, he needs strong bone and good muscle movement and along with brain coordination. That may be the reason for his success, and he was telling that he used to take 200 gram boiled elephant put-yam every day morning as a breakfast. And it has a lot of nutrients and medicinal values also. And it is advised to take. And nowadays, the consumption of elephant put-yam in younger generation is very, very, very less because of changes in food preferences. Not only elephant put-yam, even in sweet potato, the consumptions are going down every day. And the area under this crop also coming down because the changes in food preference. But we have to see that how to bring back these crops into the food chain. That is the very essential. Essential of the scientists and research institutes. And just I am giving nutshells how these fresh tubers are utilized. Fresh tubers are consumed as a boiled and as used as a vegetable, and it can be preferred used for chips production. Then we can make flour from the fresh tubers. From the flour you can develop n number of products, pasta, noodles, kurkure type of things, and snack foods, and bread and cookies. And now the food preferences are changed for the young generation. Now we will also shift, instead of direct consumption of the tuber crop, into the changes form of pasta production, noodle production. And this tuber crop very well fit into this category. And also this is a traditional way of extracting starch. From the starch you can prepare number of products, bioethanol, biodegradable plastics and glucose, hydrogel. We are working on hydrogel, sago and vapor. It is a very well known. It fit to all the tuber crop, not only cassava. It is fit to sweet potato and arrowroot and yam, elephant put-yam, all the crops. Now coming to the point what I was telling that sweet potato, we refer this in eastern India, it is called Rani Kand. Rani Kand means queen of tuber. Why we called queen of tuber? It contains a lot of minerals and vitamins. It is a scientifically proven one. But the problem with this kind of crop is the self-life. Self-life for cassava is 48 hours. Whereas sweet potatoes, the self-life is just a month, 30 days only. For other crops, it is 2 to 3 months only. Not like cereals that you can store for prolonged period. But when I say that this contains very rich amount of minerals and vitamins, and it is essential for tribal people or even other peoples, then how to consume for more period, how to store and consume this one. The one way is going for preparing flour. Flour production is the best way of storing the tuber crop, because the shelf life of this crop is a short period. So how to prepare? Just I am showing, because you know very well about the cassava. Let me take the example of sweet potato. You can chip it, slice it. The sliced chips you can dry it, sun dry. This as such, the sun dried chips can be put it in polythene bag or closed airtight container. You can store for more period. But it will take more volume. To reduce the volume of storage, you can go for flour production at local level only. You need not go for factory level. Local level only, you dry it, chip it, and powder it. This powder can be used for preparation of leaven, unleavened breads. And we have demonstrated in the tribal area, we have taken this technology, small, it's a very not hi-fi technology, simple technology. And we have imported the training to the tribal peoples. And we made this chipping by direct chipping, slicing and drying. And parboiled chipping, chips you can store for more period. This is the other side of the slide is showing that parboiled chips. This was prepared by the farmers, and they can keep it for more period. And again you put it in water, these dehydrated chips will come to a normal position, and you can consume as fresh tubers, or you can use this flour prepared from the orange fresh sweet potato or general sweet potato, any flour. Then you can prepare the chapati and roti. This was demonstrated to the tribal farmers, because in eastern India the consumption of roti is very common. For them we have made it. Generally they prepare roti from ragi. Ragi is a very favorite food of tribal people. In that ragi, we can go for sweet potato flour, or you can mix with the ragi sweet potato flour. We have demonstrated them. And other one is they prepare jaw, that is Tamil, it called kool. That kool can be prepared with this one, and it is like ragi only. Technically, if you speak, the mineral and vitamins content of sweet potato is equally same to the ragi only. So ragi, lot of importance was given in the millet mission. Similarly, we are also looking for giving importance, taking this technology and this information to the government to give importance for sweet potato also. This is a little advanced. Instead of preparing roti and other things, you can local, they can prepare cakes and other things. They can sell it in local market, not hi-fi market. And local market, they can prepare gulab jamun also. This is the orange fresh sweet potato. Boiled sweet potato, you can prepare and sell it in local market itself. And we have imported training. We also having Techno Incubation Center in our institute at Bhubaneswar. We used to bring the farmers, tribal farmers to our institute and import the training. What are the advanced equipment we are having? All those things we used to demonstrate to them. And they can learn these things, and they can do it at available facilities in their village level. That was our aim. And this sweet potato flour can be used for preparation of snacks food also. And coming to the other part, I want to touch upon arrowroot. As you know, many of them knowing arrowroot, Maranta species only, and other arrowroots are very popular in sweet potato in tribal areas of Odisha. I want to tell this is the one arrowroot. Farmers are not selling the tuber. Farmers are selling only starch powder. Even in tribal farmers, you won't get a kg of tuber also. But they use entirely for starch production only. Yesterday, Dr. George Thomas was telling about a number of farming system. One is about, he said, Kutanad rice farming system below mean sea level. And the other one he referred Koraput traditional farming system. Probably he may be referring this one only, farming system. The farmers produce all the tubers, and he used to go for preparing the starch. And it is just you can see this is a tuber, Queensland arrowroot, Kanna edulis, extensive area you can find in Koraput, around 125 hectares. It's roughly around 300 acres. It is cultivated in tribal area. Only tribal people used to cultivate this one. And whatever the produce, if you take the per acre 10 tons also, 3,000 tons of tuber is exclusively used for extraction of starch. Around 300 tons of starch is produced and marketed by the tribal people. This is the leaves of this crop can be plucked and used for leaf plate making. What we are making in banana leaf, these tribal people, they used to pluck and they used to market it, and they will get earnings, livelihood from these leaves. And this is the tubers. Matured tubers is used for, traditionally they extract. This was the painful for us. Traditionally they extract on a perforated iron sheet. They used to go and rub, they collect the leachates, and again they go for washing and extracting. This is very tedious, and you can see the slides. Finally the product will come like this, the powder form. The powder form only, the starch only they are marketing. And here our intervention is, we have developed a starch extraction mission. The mission was given to the farmers instead of going for a traditional method of extraction. The mission capacity is 20 kg per hour. It uses a diesel, and its starch recovery is 20%, whereas in traditional method of hand is only 12%. It consumes 1.1 unit of electricity per 20 kg of tuber extraction, and roughly it comes, extraction charge is 1 kg tubers. So this is the way we have demonstrated. After seeing the mission, after that, now around 200 and 250 starch extraction machines are there, and they have made it on their own, depending upon the socio-economic conditions of the farmers. They have developed the mission. Here only the rasper is the main important element in this starch extraction machine. You can see the different raspers, and these raspers are fabricated by the farmers himself, not by us. We have demonstrated, we have handed over one starch extraction machine only. The last part you can see the farmers, he made one rasper and used wooden roller for extracting the starch. To such extent it went, instead of going for a manual preparation of the starch. This is the starch of a tribal farmers. And now we have a incubator. We are developing a Palua lud, arrowroot lud. We are going, it is in the export mode we are preparing. Yeah, incubator is with us. And other, okay sir. Other arrowroots are there, East Indian arrowroots. These are some of the views. And this is the arrowroot you can find in Kerala. This is West Indian arrowroot. This arrowroot can be boiled and eaten also. This is very popular, and we have developed a tuber crop nursery in Koraput and giving all the tubers available to the farmers, because this is a main area of tuber crop production. Apart from that, we have a lot of technologies. Just I am passing through. This is a chips production technology from orange and purple flesh. This is a jam. It's the original color. We have not added the color. We have a technology. Jam production from sweet potato. It's a sauce production from biofortified varieties. And you know that you can prepare gluten-free cookies. From this one, gluten is allergic to many people and causes celiac disease. And it's a very, we have a technology, we have a machinery in our institute. This is a bread and cakes. It's produced from our institute only. We have a machinery and we can give a training to, and some incubator can be joined with us. This is a pasta from orange fresh sweet potato. And this is a machinery, some of the machineries, pastas from orange fresh, purple fresh, noodles. And these are the equipment. And we have a wine production technology. This technology we are going to give Kerala government. We have a technology of wine production from both cassava and sweet potato. Kerala government approached the CTCRI, and this technology is with Bhubaneswar Center, and we are going to give, and Kerala government already given for alcohol production 2 crore rupees, and we have a technology from regional center. This is alcohol, sweet potato alcohol, and this is a biofortified variety and released recently. We are taking this one to tribal area. So far we have not taken this biofortified Srini Lima. This year onwards we have a program to take this variety to tribal farmers. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Niranjan. I think you packed a lot of information into the short time of 20 minutes. Lot of information. You gave a flavor of the diversity that's available in the tuber crops. Please sit down. The value addition opportunities that is there. I think, friends, if you have any questions or suggestions on this talk, please hang on to them. We will take them at the end. Now let's move on to the next speaker, and that is my friend, Dr. Hariharan. Dr. Hariharan, as you all know, is the Executive Director of MSSRF. And I must tell you that he is a lichen biologist. And that's his expertise, but now his expertise is on many, many areas. And now he is going to share us some of the experiences of MSSRF in the area of nutri-garden by giving us an overview of the nutri-garden program. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. You know, when you started, you mentioned about the homogeneity that has to, be there in the farm. But when it comes to the nutrition, we need to have the dietary diversity. So how we are going to match these two, and the looming issue of climate change. That is what. So I'm here to explain about the Nutrition Garden program. This is basically to improve the dietary diversity, nutrition literacy, and conservation of the germplasm. Three major dimensions it will try to address. To some background about the mounting levels of malnutrition, 3 in 10 stunted children are Indian. 53% women between age 15 to 49 years are having anemia, whether they are from urban or rural, educated or uneducated, rich or poor, whatever division you put, still this 53%. Over 80% of infants, especially young children, do not get the necessary dietary diversity. So this is the scenario, and around 50% of our workforce is employed in agriculture. And the looming issues of climate change. The first 1,000, to the student participants, I wanted to draw their attention here. The first 1,000 days, it is going to be the key determinant of the health and the brain development of a child, impact on physical growth in the first 3 years. The healthy child will be around 3.2 kilos at the time of birth, and in 3 years, they have to attain 15 kgs in weight. On to my right, you have 4 images, the pictorial. A normal child, how they will look like, wasted, stunting, and underweight. This is how nutrition is going to play in those the first 1,000 days. And if they miss this, and all kind of problems will set in. When it comes to the Sustainable Development Goals, goal number 2 specifically addresses the improved nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. These two are linked. How we are going to do? My previous speakers spoke about the diversity of tubers, which will give maximum calorific material, and major crops, rice, wheat, and all, will address that. But we need also protein, vitamins, and minerals. And if these are deficient, we cannot see through the eyes. That's the reason we call them as hidden hunger. Can be eradicated with diet diversification. A simple way we can address that is diet diversification. So the recommendation from Professor is agri-horticulture remedies for nutritional melodies to strengthen food-based approaches. I will come to this particular issue a little bit later to eradicate malnutrition. Here we use agriculture in a broader sense, crops, animal husbandry, and fisheries all included. Sorry. So foundation as a whole, we practice farming system for nutrition. It is highly location specific. It is not one shoe that fits all. The agroclimatic zone is taken. Various layers of the strength of the farms and all those things are taken into consideration. It's a location specific, inclusive model based on the resource endowments of a region. That is what is very critical, and shall address the nutritional needs of the families, especially the focus is the farm families, and underlying concept of FSN is the principle of household food production that is important to the diets of farm families, particularly smallholders. That is what the major Indian sections of the society are. And MSSRF approach, we have 5-pronged approach. One is developing and demonstrating location-specific model. It may be an on-farm demonstration or in the form of a nutrition garden. Second one is what I'm going to elaborate more, is establishing grid of garden of nutri-rich plants with MSSRF field centers, Krishi Vigyan Kendras, with the collaboration of state agriculture universities. Happy to see you from Kerala Agriculture University here, sir. Then creating a cadre of community hunger fighters. Creating a garden is not just enough. The awareness, that is what is going to happen through community hunger fighters and in the focus location, communicating to the stakeholders through various media for awareness and policy advocacy. Why these gardens? We need to collect the necessary evidences. This is working, this is not working, this is how the policy, if it is there, then it will be more enabling. This is what is more important. And food-based approaches, it is going to be sustainable, and this will bridge the disconnect between agriculture and nutrition. We know we are an agriculture country, but this disconnect is very prevailing, and that need to be addressed. Nutritionally important crops need to be brought back into the farm, awareness on nutrition-based issues to the consumers, and consumption of nutritive and balanced diet. That is what is going to help us. Fine, just pass to, this is the kind of a diversity we have. You look at the tomato diversity from tiniest to the largest, to the chili diversity we have. The smallest one is the having the maximum capsaicin content in it. The largest one is very good for bhaji making and all. And we are taking a blend of both naturally nutri-dense material and the biofortified material that is coming through plant breeding, especially the orange flushed sweet potato and so on. Here is an example of the Moringa and the nutritional content. You look at it, it has more than 25% more iron content compared to spinach, and the data is here, I don't want to read it, and this is a published information with the National Geographic magazine. But what is happening in the field? At one point of time, we have enormous diversity, but now many of them are available in NPBG or storehouses rather than in the field. Somehow we are missing them, and larger diversity means, today morning the various varieties of potatoes were shown. Each one is having a different texture, taste, and all those things. We are missing all these things. So this nutrition garden is a living laboratory. I'm borrowing the term from her, and this is where we need to bring in this kind of a diversity in the form of a garden. The compelling reasons for establishing the garden, at the farm level it will be difficult to have all this material, but at the Krishi Vigyan Kendras level, every district is having a Krishi Vigyan Kendra that is associated with the State Agriculture University, where professors of horticulture, agriculture, fisheries, all of them are linked to that. So that is the place where these demonstrations are happening. That is where the small and marginal farmers are congregating and getting the information. So that is the right place. That's why Professor suggested establishing these gardens in 4 different locations of the country. And these gardens are a very simple model. They will have one garden with the different nested sections, named as vitamin A section, D section, B section, and so on. And crops which are rich in that particular content will be planted there. So this will provide the farmers the crops they can introduce into the farming system. Many of the crops, they come across, especially the biofortified material. They come across and they wanted this material, and the propagation center is also associated with this garden. Awareness, especially as a consumer, if they walk in, what kind of a material will be useful for me to eradicate vitamin A content in my diet. So that also, and it is not just introducing one. Why the diversity is important? Round through the year, all the 365 days, that content need to be there in our diet. If we miss it, for example, I can suggest mango for vitamin A, but that will be available only during one season. When the rest of the years, which crop or which material is going to give you that kind of a nutrition diversity in your plate? That is where this kind of a garden will bring in all kind of diversity in one garden. To mainstream nutrition in the farming system, it is an important, the very key issue is the nutrition literacy, and this garden will provide the consumers the necessary information on the crops and their nutritive values and so on. So the key components is basically the garden, the farmer mobilization that is happening because of the Krishi Vigyan Kendras Association, then capacity building, how to cultivate. For example, we had a wonderful green variety, but that will grow only on a shady condition. Then necessary capacity building need to be given to the farmers so that they can take it up. Otherwise, many of the crop fails and so on. And then the awareness programs to the, especially the malnourished sections of the society. with the participation of the district officials, we were able to reach out to the sections where prevalence of malnutrition, especially the ICDS officials, helped us to reach out to those communities where these awareness programs were given. The project locations, 4 highly malnourished districts of our country, Palghar in Maharashtra, Tirur in Tamil Nadu, Kanpur Dehat in Uttar Pradesh, and Koraput district, in a way, it is also having levels of malnutrition with respect to anemic conditions in women and so on. So this is the overall data from the NFH Comprehensive National Nutrition Survey and IFPRI nutrition profile data and so on, where you look at Kanpur Dehat, women anemia is very high, child anemia is also very high. So this is where these gardens are there, and now people are coming and able to see which crops can give me more iron in my diet. There are a lot, germplasm of Moringa is now getting cultivated in Kanpur Dehat. Why this kind of a catastrophe happened? Because this is the consumption of each food group by the household in the focus district. If you really look at, they are mostly consuming cereals, sugar and jaggery, and some of the nutri-rich materials are very less in their diet. Nuts and oil seeds, or roots and, for example, green leafy vegetable consumption is very low. Pulses and legumes are also low and so on. And I talked about the community hunger fighters who are grassroots level workers who will take the nutrition literacy to the doorsteps of the tribe for the small and marginal farmers' household. They create basically nutrition awareness in the nearby villages. In the Koraput district, we have 4 of them working for us, and establishment of household level nutrition garden, collection of nutri-rich plants from the mother nursery and distributed to the members, advisories specifically to the pregnant and lactating mothers on the diets, how they can improve their nutritional content and so on, coordinating with the Anganwadi workers on the health and sanitation activity. Nutrition is not just consumption of dietary diversity alone, right from safe drinking water, washing the hands before eating, all those things are a part and parcel. This is a view of the garden in the Kanpur Dehat. You can see the lush growth of various vegetables and fruit crops there. This is one-time harvest, 1 week harvest, and you get a lot of material out of this particular garden. And distribution of seeds and saplings to various self-help group members and small and marginal farmers are also happening. Awareness programs, both at the central level as well as at the village level, that is also happening through the community hunger fighters. Why these are all important now? Look at the Kerala story. This is a survey carried out by CAbC Wayanad. Girijan Gobi provided me this data. You again look at it here, cereals are dominating, sugar and jaggery is the one which is maximum consumed, and some of the nutri-rich materials, even though egg consumption you really look at, they are not on par with the other food groups and so on. And this is the NFHS data 2019 to 2021. Compared to Kerala, the stunting in Wayanad is again 31%. Fasting is also almost 16 on par. Underweight children is also there. Similarly, the presence of anemia among children and women. Children 39% and women 27%, little bit low, but it's a matter of concern. Look at the chronic energy deficiency, very thin people, or obesity. These two comprises the whole malnutrition story, either underweight or overweight. Both of them are not good. And obese people is around 26, and very chronically energy deficient people is also 14%. This is the Wayanad data. And the impacts of, we established nutrition garden in Wayanad around various villages here. And the impact is the families are happy to consume more leafy greens, fruit consumption has increased. Otherwise, in many of, okay, sir, well, this is almost in the final stages. Chemical-free vegetables and choice of vegetables are also now available with the family. So this is a forward-looking approach. So future focus, most efficient and economic method is promotion of nutri-rich crops. Right now, National Institute of Nutrition is carrying out a survey in all the locations where we have established the garden. The results will be out soon. But one of the preliminary understanding is those farm families who are associated with that, at least the dietary diversity has increased. That is a very positive sign. Then what we can do in the field, on-farm demonstrations, models of gardens of nutri-rich plants to serve both as educational tools and facilitators of nutrition security and nutrition literacy. Each garden can also conserve around 50 species and around 150 different varietal diversity that can be conserved in that, increased awareness and improvement in dietary diversity score of the undernourished farm household. That is what is much more important. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Hariharan, for delineating some of the structures and systems that is required for creating awareness about nutrition and also for addressing the nutritional deficiency problem. So we will take questions and suggestions on this talk also towards the end. But continuing on the same vein, I would now like to invite Dr. Jacob John to talk about homesteads with focus on agro-biodiversity. He is an agronomist. He is currently professor and head of the research station in Karavana and runs a project on integrated farming systems research at the station. So, Dr. Jacob John, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Let me at the outside thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to share with you some thoughts on homestead with focus on biodiversity conservation. And during the little time given to me, what I'll be sharing with you is only those things what I have been directly involved in. There is no theoretical thing. Right from 1994, I have been working right from my PhD work on this homestead, and even now I'm continuing that homestead-based integrated farming. So whatever I present here is based on what I have been directly involved in farmers field, in my research station. I'm also happy to be here because around maybe 2000 or 2001 I was back here when this was inaugurated at that time. And I'm so happy to be associated with you once more. So, as I said, first of all, I would like to take this opportunity also to invite you all to this research station of the Kerala Agriculture University, which is situated in the heart of the city in Trivandrum, hardly 3 kilometers from the bus station and also the railway station, 19 acres of a green patch, where you have not just rice fields, you have all sorts of enterprises, and you will be able to see some of the technologies that we have incorporated to bring about or maintain biodiversity with a purpose. That is a responsible biodiversity, I would say. And I take this opportunity to invite you there. It will be a great pleasure and a rare opportunity for you also. So some of the issues and objectives, let me just spell out. One is the declining holding size that we have especially in my state. I would concentrate on our state because though home gardens are there in Indonesia, Java and several countries, the home gardens of Kerala are very unique in the sense that we have a diminishing holding size. 96% of our farmers or our holdings are marginal. You take the total small and marginal, it comes to 97%. And the average holding size, which was nearly 50 cents, nearly 10 years back, has now declined to 33 cents. And there, the only option is not go to for a single enterprise, but rather integrate a lot of things together, which means also improving the biodiversity. When I speak of biodiversity, it is not in terms of crops alone that I speak. We have the national objective of improving or doubling the farmers' income. That's not our objective anyway. Our objective is to increase the farmers' income to the maximum. And also there are other objectives like promotion of organic farming. What we are trying to do is how to practically promote organic farming. Waste management at the source level itself, resource conservation, food and nutritional security, livelihood security. Now, these are some objectives. Instead of going for plans individually to achieve all of these objectives, what I am going to now attempt and show you is that in a homestead, by improving the biodiversity, by integration of different enterprises, how we can achieve all these objectives at the same time. Now, as I said, this was based on my study, definition of your home garden, functional and self-sustaining farm unit. So a lot of crops, trees and other subsidiary enterprises managed by the farm family. Basic objective is to meet the family needs, produce some marketable surplus for the purchase of non-producible items. I'll be proving that to my studies also. This is a structure again based on my study. We have done a general study of nearly 400 home gardens. We have been able to categorize a general or bring about a general structure or composition of these home gardens, how diverse it is. Now, this is the different layers that we could in general identify, but more specifically you can see this particular diagram which have evolved from the data collected. You can see the lower level, pineapple, turmeric, arrowroot, such crops. You go to the next level, higher level 1 to 3 meters, you have banana, cassava and certain other crops. Again 3 to 10 meter, breadfruit, bilimbi, and a lot of other fruit and tree crops. Again you have spices and fruit crops in the next level 10 to 25. And above you have our coconut, arecanut and some of our timber and fruit crops. Now what we achieve by this biodiversity here is specifically mentioned. There's a dense canopy cover and you achieve that you have a natural resource conservation over there. Soil conservation is there, water conservation is also there. Now this is also based on my study. What we could see that the species diversity ranges from 5 to even 40, less to 5 even to 40, and average of 14 to 15 species in this 400 that was surveyed, and 397 plants. We are excluded the ornamental and weed plants. See, weeds also have a great potential because one of the components that we integrate now to exploit that biodiversity of weeds is that, for example, the stingless bee, Tetragonella travangorga. Now that gives you some amount, nearly maybe in a single hive you get around 400 grams of honey, which is based on the nectar derived from the medicinal plant, the beads, which are mostly medicinal. And 1 kg costs nearly around 3,500 to 4,000 rupees. So that is how we exploit that. So here that is not included, the number is not included. Essentially what we found is these home gardens are germplasm reservoirs, and it's a deliberate strategy actually. It's not haphazard like the old sacred groves over there maintained for something else. It's with a definite purpose. It's to meet or bring about some product of value for the farm family. And that is how people are doing it now. And that is how the state government in this state and our planners and the technocrats here are going to go about, which I'll say in the last concluding session. So several cultivars, I think already Narayan has shown the diversity in, even sir was saying about some diversity that is surely there. Just based on my experience, I would like to show you one or two crops only. What you see here is one on the top is the okra. This particular crop did not have any pest or diseases till the end. Now, the Agriculture University, several other research institutes have evolved a lot of varieties, but that is good. At the same time, there are certain local cultivars which have to be protected. And what has happened over a period of time is that when our improved varieties take a place there, slowly it has been eliminated. These local types have been eliminated, which have some definite potential. Only thing they have been looked at is breeding material maybe. So this is the okra, and see the fruit on the right side. What you see me holding there is a yard-long bean, our cowpea. See the length of it, it's nearly 1 meter long. Look at the bitter gourd that farmer is saying. And on the right side, what you see is an amaranthus, which grows to nearly 1.5 meter height in a single bag that is sufficient for a family, and it will flower only after 1 year. You can go on plucking leaves and it will give on these leaves again and again. Only after 1 year it will flower. So that is what I wanted to show here is that, see, when you're ready to pluck this leaf, the other leaves have come in the base. That's what I just wanted to highlight here. And look at this variety. I just recently went to a farmer's field This is an Amaranthus variety. The scientist standing is nearly as tall as me, 6 feet. And look at the Amaranthus variety, how tall it is. And I have asked the farmer also, it's delicious, no problem, but this variety is a local variety. What I said is that there's a lot of genetic variability, a lot of local types which are having good potential. Now coming to the homestead-based integrated farming system that we have developed for 50 cents or 0.2 hectare. Large number of components. This, if you come, you can see it in my station. And we have all these components there. Besides crops, trees are also there. There is the vermicompost unit, the poultry unit, the cow unit, terrace garden is there, water harvesting is there, recirculatory aquaculture system is there, everything is there. Now coming to the fishes itself, in my homestead model, this is one type of fish, genetically improved farm tilapia. It's not genetically modified. It's promoted by the government. Now the government is also distributing it. These are the several other fishes promoted by the government, Katla, Rohu, Mrigal, grass carp. See this is the last time harvest that we can see here, Basa, and it's very delicious, fetches large income for the farmer with limited maintenance cost. Now large number of enterprises besides crops are also integrated in the garden. Another attempt is to grow a large number of fodder crops. Here the aim is to reduce the dependence on external feed, reduce the cost of production. Again, diverse crops like hybrid napier, guinea grass, paragrass, so on are there. Now, though not giving immediate returns, another strategy in developing these home gardens is planting timber and fruit trees, especially nitrogen fixing trees, which improve the soil fertility and at the same time serves as a source of income for the farmers at a time of necessity. Important other objective is for promoting recycling. Just an example of figures that we have got. Just see this. In our homestead, we had taken an assessment, the amount of things that were recycled there, coconut leaves, cow dung, cow's urine, and all. How this biodiversity helps us, maintaining this helps us to get a total value of nearly fertilizers which are worth 10,000 rupees are recycled from these different materials. And another thing is that for producing these fertilizers, we have to spend at least 19,000 megajoules of energy, fossil fuels dependent energy to produce these fertilizers. So a small unit itself, by virtue of this biodiversity, helps us to conserve energy and at the same time reduce our dependence on fertilizers, reduce the cost of production. Now another example where we have cows, we have integrated it with a biodigester. What we could assess is that this could help us all the family, the entire my farm waste is recycled, food waste. It's recycled here. You get cow dung slurry which is recycled to the crops and a gas production worth 11 to 12 LPG cylinders in a single year. So see the effect of this diversification. Now some of the parameters which we have assessed in the homestead based model that we have developed regarding the diverse food products that are obtained. Crop, milk, oil, egg, fish and meat, fodder and others. From this 50 cents we have obtained. And some of the parameters, especially look at the diversity index. When we simply speak that it's very diverse, forest has a lot of biodiversity, Simpson's index, Shannon-Weiner index, look at the species diversity and also the value diversity here. And regarding the carbon emission, we speak in forests, we do some assessments about the carbon neutral, carbon emission, carbon sequestration. Now, there is a talk now in Kerala also about this carbon neutral agriculture. I would like to ask how many people actually know to assess the present situation of whether what is the carbon status, emission status, and also the sink and source status. We have the tool for that. We have done it. We have been doing it for past 5 years. And this is the source from our homestead model. This is the sink. So net emission is less. So make such an assessment. I would suggest that first of all make such an assessment and then go for making it carbon neutral or whatever it is. Now one model that we have developed, what we show in shown in red, is the interventions that we have done in a selected farm. We have given the planting material of this and we have assessed the food security that this particular model has afforded to the farm family of 4 members. First is the annual requirement as per the Indian Council of Medical Research, what is needed. and what is the annual production. And we have also taken the value, this was taken a few years back, a value of nearly 2 lakh rupees worth of produce is obtained from this particular 0.24 hectare model. Now, one thing regarding the food security, when we make assessments, here I would like to self-introspect and make others also. Now, certain things in a homestead comes about in a staggered manner. But if you look here, see, you can say that fruits, the annual requirement, it's in excess of the annual requirement. But when do you get it? You get it at a particular point of time. You plant cassava or you plant banana, you say that the fruit requirement or the starch requirement, carbohydrate content is met. When you plant it, you get it after 10 months. All together. How can the farm family be satisfied with that? So, the important point here is that staggered planting is important rather than planting and getting everything and making an assessment. I have made an assessment of the nutritional security also. If you look at the annual requirement for a family, everything, most of the things required are met from that particular model that we have developed. But here again, as I said, everything is not in a staggered manner. Some things are. And the likelihood of that being more staggered in a fashion is in a homestead. But when you go to a pure crop or a large area planted entirely, what is the family requirement or the panchayat requirement, and you go each way and plant this or that, this over there, this is the requirement of this panchayat, that is not going to be met for the whole year continuously. It will come up at a particular point of time, and that is only going to be sold, and it's going to be outsourced from that particular panchayat. Now, what is the threat that we have? One is the fragmentation, declining holding size, growing urbanization, replacing with more remunerative crops, a tendency for that is also there. You know that vanilla was there one time, which affected us. Rubber is there, which affected our homesteads. Now, regarding biodiversity, we have solutions to that also. Now, this is a homestead. This, you come into my farm, you can see this. This is my terrace building. It is only 120 square meter, 3 cents. I know everybody here has a house at least more than 3 cents with a terrace. I hope, hopefully. From this, our aim was to, initially we got 250 kg vegetables or foodstuff from this particular home garden. It's an integrated home garden. We have crops, we have nearly 5 poultry birds, we have an asola unit, we have a vermicompost unit exclusively on the terrace, and we used to get 250. But as per the recommendations of ICMR, we have to produce 350 for a 4-member family. And that we've set our objective, and now we are producing it. You can see some structures behind. Those are vertical farming structures, low cost vertical farming structures that we have developed. And now we are able to produce nearly 350 from this 3 cents. And now this is being adopted in a big way, especially in urban areas. And the Krishi Bhavans are even already developed schemes, and we are promoting it in a large way. Now, a question that was I prepared this presentation 2 days back later. Earlier in one discussion, Anil sir and also Madhura ma'am was asking about how you go about location specific is needed. Not panchayat level, but what we are doing now, what the state planning board has told us now, and what we are going about is developing agro-ecological unit-based development. So what we are trying now is to develop models or sustainable or suitable crop combinations, integrated farms for each, this different colors that you see are 23 agro-ecological units of Kerala, which has been delineated by the National Bureau of Soil Survey and Land Use Planning, that is of the ICR, along with the funding of the State Planning Board. And this has been recognized, and now planning is in this way. That is what they are doing. So we have also we are trying now to evolve models for each particular region. So while I conclude, I say that biodiversity in home gardens, it will ensure natural resource conservation. That is, energy conservation is there, soil conservation is there, nutrient conservation is there. Practical way of promoting organic recycling, where I showed you how much use of fertilizers is saved, how energy is conserved. Then carbon sequestration, greenhouse gas emission. Again, practical ways of reducing the emission. And at the same time, meets our basic needs of providing food nutritional and also livelihood security. Now, how do we go about this? Can we just leave it alone? No, we have to do some planning, some way of hand-holding, so to see that this biodiversity is maintained so as to provide all these benefits, address all our issues. So after this discussion, let us say that we are all going different ways. But I am very confident here today because I am involved with the State Planning Board and the government. This year we have started a big project which is to develop farm plans. In all the districts of Kerala, we are going to go about it not just here in the 14th five-year plan, farm plan based development. What is suited for this farm? What has to be retained here? What has to be additionally added? And government is going to give funding with some beneficiary contribution also. And that is how we have going about. Instead of the crop-based or crop-centered planning that has been going around for past several years, we are going to go into a systems approach. And in that, certainly this biodiversity is going to only increase, not just in terms of crops or trees, but in toto. Thank you. That's my phone number and my email address. You can contact me anytime.
Thank you, Dr. Jacob John. Well on time. In fact, Professor Pathak is coming on or he is not coming? Okay, so that saves some extra time for discussion. Wonderful talk. Thank you all very much. I think I would request audience also to participate actively in the discussion part. We have about half an hour to discuss and we will go presentation wise. Let's address the first presentation by Dr. Narayan about the diversity of tuber crops. I would request if you have a question, suggestion, please put up your hands. You can identify yourself and then have your say. On the presentation by Dr. Narayan, any questions? Are you actually taking, oh, okay, yes, Dr. Nambudri, please. Here, can you give the mic? Oh, he has got a microphone.
Yes, sir. It is common knowledge that one of the constraints in using keratin-rich plant products is that it denatures very easily. And we are all used to using cooked tuber crops. That may be one of the constraints. And on storage, in West Africa, they make some sort of pellets from the tapioca and then fry it in palm oil and keep it for a long time. They call it gari. I gave some details to Dr. Edison, but as expected, it has gone to the waste basket.
Okay, he has given the suggestions to Dr. Edison. Let's see how Dr. Narayan responds to that suggestion. Can you make pellets out of these and then fry them in oil and does it keep? Is that one of the value-added processes that you recommend? You can use this microphone.
We are thinking of that making pellets, sir, and even beaten rice we used to have. Similar type of things we are thinking in prepare from sweet potato. We'll try, sir. We'll take your advice, sir.
So, Dr. Nambudri, don't be disappointed. I think he is willing to try it. Yes, Anil Kumar, your question, please. Question, suggestion, opinion, deduction, whatever it is.
Yes. So, Dr. Narayan, thank you so much for very impressive presentation. My question is, when you see the tuber crops, there are so many underutilized tuber crops, at least to my knowledge.
Yes.
For example, if you take a Plectranthus or if you take orchids, there are certain orchids with minor tuber crops. What is your institute doing for the conservation or the study of such kind of underutilized tuber crops in India?
Sir,
There is a reason why Anil asked this question, because here
no, sir.
Community Agro-biodiversity Center, he and his colleagues have initiated a program for collecting the wild tubers and conserving them.
Sir.
So maybe from the ICR.
Sir, right now, ICR has allowed us to conserve that minor tuber crop, but they have given mandate to work on research or development of product from limited crops. This year only, curcuma species we have asked to work on developing technology and product development. Earlier, they were not allowing curcuma also. saying that it is not your mandate crop, but you can collect and conserve in your campus. That much only, sir. Now they allowed. And this year onwards, we will be working on curcuma, sir.
No, this is what, so who decides this mandate? See, this, unfortunately, we narrow down the genetic diversity in the name of mandate crops.
I think
All
you are
these
being
I would
unfair
say.
to Dr. Narayan. There are wise people sitting there
No,
who
sir.
decide the mandate.
So earlier we made attempt. Safed musli we made attempt to develop some new variety. That time they put objection, it is not your mandate crop. Sir, like that they will be telling, sir. So we will do, sir, the certain crop, whatever allowed.
Yes, your question, please.
My name is
If it is
Gopi.
to any of the other speakers, just hold on. If it is
This
to Dr.
to,
Narayan,
Dr. Narayan only.
okay.
So what are the problems to upscale this orange flush sweet potato cultivation in Odisha? Because when we did a field work in some areas, people said that they face problem to get seedlings and also maintain that work. If you highlight, say, problems or challenges faced by these households to maintain this orange flush sweet potato in that areas, that will be nice. Thank you.
How do you upscale it?
Sir, actually, the demand is not that much for orange plus sweet potato. Because most of the productions, only 2 to 3% of the production is consumed by the tribals, or those who are cultivated. Remaining things are going for market only. And that is also not consumed in the production site. It is going to other state. So marketing is very important. The market people, they are not taking colored variety. Now, local consumption also, demand is not that much, even though we are creating awareness that it is rich in nutrients, vitamins, and useful for health benefits, a lot of things. But in spite of creating awareness, people are not coming forward. Only the production site, it is consumed 2 to 5% only. Remaining thing, we are finding problem. Now, of late, some exporters to foreign countries, they have come up. What they are telling, before production, if they give agreement, they make that I am producing 100 hectares of orange plus sweet potato, then they can come forward and they can make MOU and they can procure. But after production, they are reluctant to purchase. This is the thing, sir. It is right now, it is there, but I am hoping in future it will be increasing the area under orange and purple plus sweet potato.
Sir. It's important for us scientists and breeders not just be satisfied about breeding an yellow-fleshed variety. I think this is a common refrain. There is no takers for it. I think the important thing is to make sure that it is made attractive.
Sir.
Otherwise, I am afraid you are actually developing a solution for which you will now have to go searching for a problem.
Yes, sir. For that only, sir, we are going for value-added product in terms of going.
So you are making attempts, so that's the solution for it. Yes, sir.
Sir, Oliver King from MS Swaminathan Foundation. Sir, this question is related to the tapioca variety H165, which is an industrially preferred variety. When we look at the entire Eastern Ghats and the rain-fed plains, this variety is predominantly grown and is also supported by sago serve through the value chain. So the smallholders and tribal farmers predominantly adopt this crop, because it's a drought resistant and sturdy. But we have also tried with some sort of a crop integration, diversification, millets, onion, but adoption levels are very, very low. Do you have any technology, since we are talking about diversification and linking to food and nutrition security in the context of tapioca, since the value chain supported by sago serve, promoting this, the farmers are getting that kind of a stable income. But when we look at from the angle of diversification, is there any viable model that can be adopted in the Eastern Ghats and the rain-fed plains predominantly?
Sir, I don't have an answer for that.
Out of it, I think particularly in Kerala state, the adoption rates can be quite high. So I think before we move on from any other pressing question for the first speaker.
Yeah, would like to
yes,
know
sir.
about
yes,
the,
sir, please.
Would like to know about the details on the red wine that you prepared from sweet potato.
Yes, sir.
Can you compare the same with that of the actual red wine, means the fruit-derived red wine?
Yes, sir.
Can you comment on that aspect? Did
Yeah.
you,
The red
okay.
wine from sweet potato or this tuber crops, is it comparable to such a red wine from grapes?
Sir, it is a comparable. Taste is difference will be there. That is from fruit, and it is from the starchy tuber. And economically, it is viable or not? That is the question. It is economically viable, sir, because
There are
sweet
some
potato.
positive aspects for the red wine, the grape-derived red wine.
Yeah.
And can we expect that from the sweet potato-derived red wine?
Yes, sir.
My
It
question.
is expected, sir, because
Not on the alcohol content, but
sweet potato production can be throughout the year, sir. In one part and other part we can cultivate. And even in eastern India, in a year 3 crops you can take minimum. So that way.
But any data on polyphenol content and resveratrol and other these cholesterol scavenging?
Resveratrol will not be there, I guess.
I'm sure since it is from starch.
But I would like to know what is the alcohol content of the wine.
No, sir. No, sir. It's a 4%, 4 to 5%, sir. That we have standardized it, sir. We have standardized, and again we are actually this technology was developed 4 or 5 years back. The concerned scientist is retired. Now again, because the Kerala government is requested CTCRI, now again we are refining, and within a year we said that we will give this technology.
In that case, we can't call it as red wine. It's just alcohol.
Don't call it red wine.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
No, why I called red wine, sir? Why I called red wine? Because it is prepared from anthocyanin-rich sweet potato, not a traditional variety.
Red wine has got other connotations.
Okay,
as
okay,
well.
okay, sir.
So I think before
Sir,
we get too spirited
sir,
in this discussion.
Sir, only one question.
Yeah, I think last question.
Yeah. Nitinjan sir, your excellent presentation, but only one thing. So far, anybody started startup program for this entrepreneurship, because you are dealing so many tribal people, because ICR giving a more important for millets. Millets, so many people started a startup program. Your particularly yam or something like that come for this kind of thing, because youth needed more job security, entrepreneurship. ICR giving this much important, because Government of India are giving a lot of startup program. You have an example, anyone?
Sir, we have 2 persons, sir. One is producing anthocyanin-rich, beta-carotene-rich chips. And another one is preparing weaning food using orange and purple flesh sweet potato. Only 2 persons so far started.
Some minimal startup programs are there. I think before we move on from this presentation, I don't see any more hands on this. Some tidbits of information. Sweet potato, about which he talked a lot, and about the variation that is there. Did you know that it is one of the naturally genetically engineered crops? About a year back, there was a publication in PNAS, Proceedings of the National Academy of, I can share that publication if anybody is interested, where the agrobacterium mediated sequences are highly present. Otherwise, the other relatives of hypomia don't have the tuber. So the tuber is akin to the tumor that is produced by transformation of some of those genes from Agrobacterium tumefaciens. No, that's on the side. Let's move on. Let's go to the second presentation by Dr. Hariharan. Questions? Comments? Okay, I will start off the discussion on this. You indicated several models about creating awareness about using multiple crops for addressing the nutrition problem. What are the things you think will not work? Because oftentimes we talk about things that work, because it is equally good learning to know about things which don't work so that others can work differently. What will not work in the Indian context?
Yes, sir. See, this small and medium farmers, their farm size is a very crucial thing. When it comes to diversification of crops, they are, they are interested in doing, taking these materials back into the farm and start doing, but the space is a constraint. When it comes to the, Kerala model is a different one. Other part of the country, even to grow 10 plants in their backyard, that is even in the backyard or in their small farms, they find it difficult. That's where now we are suggesting taking up these kind of nutri-garden establishment in the community-owned land, in the community properties, so that will give some simple material, even green cultivation, ordinary greens cultivation. You don't need to go for high-end crops and so on. So that is one major constraint. And second thing, when papaya is growing in the field, the family often try to, some of them are trying to sell it rather than consuming it by themselves. That is another, underlying factor, but it is not a real threatening factor. These are also two major issues that is restricting.
One is about the
cultivation.
land required.
Land required.
So you can't have it in every homestead. It has to be within the community. So on that, I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
You had a plan for a nutri-garden with different blocks, different kinds of nutrients from each of those. What is the minimal size required in terms of area for a nutri-garden which supplies balanced nutrition to a family?
I think he gave a plot size, which can really, from 3 cents to, it depends upon the kind of crops we bring in. For example, highly nutrient crops, if you bring in, then the problems of really making a huge garden and try to get as many crops into that, we can iron it out by bringing in, for example, Sesbania is a very good material where it can provide high amounts of protein into the diet. Moringa is another example. Beher, vitamin C rich. These kind of, we have to, depending upon the location, we have to pick it and decide the family requirement and match. So it is not that we can decide the plot size and these are all the crops are going to be there and it's not that. Again, the preferences, choices of the people of the region, that also matters. So it's a little bit complex issue.
Understand. Getting an idea, because it's complex, it has to be tailor-made for individual households or individual situations. So there comes this issue about scalability for a large country like ours, where there are 125 million farm families. I think the scalability issue is another major thing.
Yes.
So I want to use this pivot, if there are no other questions for Dr. Hariharan, to move on to discuss the last presentation by Dr. Jacob John. Any questions for Dr. Yes, Sunil. Anil.
So Dr. Jacob John, in fact, we listened a very fantastic presentation, I would say, in the sense it started with so much of scientifically derived data, and also you had touched upon the sustainability. But my question, since you also said about the planning board and which we are going to do, what actually, if you see the kind of the 60 cents experiment, how much confident you are in replicating this in the all Kerala, the panchayats where?
Yes.
Why not?
Scaling up.
Yeah, scaling up. So why not? How is working in Wayanad and the Malabar region? What is the kind of partnership you are demonstrating for this replication?
Sir, as I said, you rightly asked a very pertinent question. Now, we can't prescribe a single model for the entire state or even for an entire district. Now, it is very location specific in the sense that there has to be some technical hand-holding while this scheme is rolled out. For example, in the last 2 years, as part of the Rebuild Kerala initiative, there was a project for 50 crores. And that was covering all the districts, including this Wayanad also. 15,000 beneficiaries were there. Farms were selected. In consultation with the farm family, interventions were planned. And the support that was given was, for a person having more than 40 cents, it was 50,000 rupees. 30 to 40 cents, it was 40,000 rupees. And 20 to 30 cents, it was 30,000 rupees. So what are the interventions there that has to take into account? One is the preferences and taste of the farm family. Second is the location specific situations where the suitability of the crop, the agroecological situation, the market situation, and as I said, a separate farm plan is required for each one. And that is why we have now transformed this into a farm planning sort of project where there are crores of rupees this year, and we can't start up, for example, the earlier schemes. If you go to a panchayat, the scheme for selecting beneficiaries is pump sets are given, sprayers are given. There are 50 beneficiaries, 100 beneficiaries. So there is no problem of selecting. You get a list, they give it. But here, the agriculture officer, the veterinary surgeon, the fisheries inspector, they have to jointly sit there, inspect the plot, make a alternate farm plan, and then implement, for which we are giving not for just 1 year, each year. And for this technical hand-holding, we are also there, the agriculture university, because we have already placed one assistant professor in every block for this. So the farm plan that is prepared at the panchayat level, that will be vetted at the block level by the agriculture officer, the assistant director, and the Atma team, which comprises of veterinary, fisheries, and so on. And so it's not as easy as implementing the other schemes, but we hope to go in a planned way and in a systematic way, at least in the future, rather than wasting all our money on many sprayers, pump sets, where it gets destroyed within 1 year and lot of amount of it wasted. And our models, the successful combinations that we have derived and the components of the modules for each model that we have developed. For example, in a person who has only 5 cents area, we have certain components which can successfully come there. We have tried it for nearly 10 years, and we can say, see, you don't have any area in front of you, you don't have a pond, you don't have any other water body, but you can produce at least 100 kg of fish from your courtyard. So that's just an example. You have a terrace, you can produce 350. Like similar models we have, that is what we propose to do, sir.
Thank you to all the speakers. I have a question and a comment. I think that, the question that Narayan, you asked Hariharan, what is the minimum size needed, etc. In my mind, I'm a little confused by at least the second 2 presentations. One is, given the available land, what is the most diverse cropping system which can provide nutrition and income and etc. The other is this a farming model? So I think we are getting a little confused. I don't think this is a farming model, because how many are dependent only on this for farm income? The national statistics and statistics from all our studies show that so-called agricultural household gets major part of income from non-agriculture, whether it is Punjab, Maharashtra, Kerala, wherever. So we are not talking about, so I think there are exceptions. So I don't think we are talking about a 30 cent or 10 cent or 5 cent person getting their entire income. Maybe they are vegetables, but not their entire income from this. So I think when we present it, although you said home gardens, when we start analyzing 1 lakh, you said 2 lakh per acre or 0.24 acre and so on. I was calculating, but I think it's wrong to say this is the entire income. What is the best use of your homestead land? I think, Narayan, is a different question from, if you're an agriculturist, what is the best use of your crop land? So I'd like to, make sure we're making that distinction.
Jacob respond. I will just follow up on this morning at breakfast. I caught him and we were discussing some things, and he mentioned that, bear me out if I have understood it wrongly, from 0.5 hectares from unit area, 50 cents, 0.2 hectares, 0.5 acres. 0.5 acres, you make an income only from this farming activity, integrated farming activity of 8 lakhs. In fact, my supplementary question, you can answer both together. When you presented, you said that 8 lakhs from 0.5 acres. I thought from agriculture is a tremendous income. In fact, many people would leave other jobs and come to agriculture. But you said in your presentation towards the end, when you talked about future, that the other remunerative crops are a threat to spreading of this system. I find a slight contradiction in that. Maybe you can address both the issues.
So can I finish my question?
Yeah, sure.
Or comment? So 2 lakhs per family, which is 50,000 per head, or 1 lakh per worker. I'd like to know a little bit about the work input. Because in homesteads, as in many other parts of agriculture, women's work is increasing. Now, what is the return to that woman worker? And women workers are also going to do other, again, a woman has to get the best income just like a male. So I'd like to know a little, you said 75 days or something, I was not clear, of employment. So I'd like to know what is the per day earning for a woman who is expected to be engaged in homestead farming. I mean, I'm for homestead farming, but I think we have to resolve, these are the questions that have to be answered. Am I supposed to have my other
you may
job
not have the answer
and put
right
in
away.
100 days also in homestead, So I think this is, particularly in Kerala, where I think number of farm families and number of people dependent on farming or homestead is declining very rapidly. So when we're planning for 10 years ahead, I think keeping your urban garden is very clear. It's for somebody who's doing some other job, but you can satisfy certain amounts of fruit and vegetable need. So that's very clear what is the goal of that urban farming. It's not income, but it's domestic production of some vegetables and fruit. But for the other, it's not yet clear to me. So the labor, particularly women's labor, I want to add that question to income. Thank you.
Are you discounting the value of the labor input from the household? To put the question in a different way.
Yes.
I think that often happens. I think. Yeah.
So can I? Even you can.
I think we will let him answer. We have kind of bombarded him with enough questions.
This is also closely related with.
Okay, if it's a related question, please come on.
Yeah, this cost
You
component.
can answer all that together.
Yeah, I would like to add labor plus capital cost involved in establishing this cost.
Correct.
Even at household level. This is more specifically for this urban model when you propose. So for whoever wants to establish this one, they will immediately calculate about this capital cost involved in this one, and also this labor cost.
Also the time cost.
Exactly, sir. Labor opportunity cost. Thank you.
Okay, I'll just start from the last question itself. Now, whatever models that we have developed, be it urban or instead, there are other models which I have not presented here, rice-based, coconut-based, banana-based. Actually, we have developed it as bankable models, and NABARD has now circulated it to all the districts, and you can ask for finance, and we have said what is the capital investment over there, what is the returns that you will get, what is the recurring cost, and what is the break-even. We have clearly spelled it out. And we have also brought a booklet for the entire offices of Kerala, which is now being distributed for different, nearly 20-25 enterprises. If you start, what is the capital cost, what is the recurring cost, and what is the returns break-even period. Now, I'll be only happy to share the PDF with you. So that is worked out, we have clear-cut deduction. Now coming to the other questions, all very pertinent questions regarding the urban thing. One with confidence, because many farmers here, they don't take it a full-time work. Now in urban areas, this is more during the COVID time, it was like of a passion. Till then they were sitting, going for work, coming back. Now when they had this period where they were idle, government also gave them vegetable seedlings. They started about this. And then there is the awareness about this pesticide residues in the vegetables that they get, in the fish that they get. So for if you have 5 or 3 cents or even less, we have models definitely where all the components, that is for a farm family, not profitable. Not profitable in the sense, not profit oriented or commercially profit oriented. It's for subsistence basically. Now, so that's why we have this terrace garden over there. You can grow fish. We have in that limited area. You can bring about vermicompost, can grow poultry there, and recirculatory aquaculture systems. All those are there in place, which we can say for a small urban area. So that is mainly but subsistence to support his concerns, because he has a very good job. and security is there. And this is primarily maintained by the farm family. Farm family, we are not doing that calculations for an urban thing. He spends about half an hour or maybe 45 minutes in the evening and in the morning maybe. And most of it, some of the things, for example, the stingless bee, it needs operations only twice in a year. That is looked by the woman laborer. And also the poultry, feeding it is by the woman over there. So that goes like that. Now coming to the commercial aspect or the larger homesteads, which sir was also asking what I said in the morning, 50 cents or 0.2 hectare. I actually came across this only 1 month back. If you look into YouTube, just type IFSRS Krishi Arvugal. The last episode that we have brought out is based on this particular farmer. And Rajendra Prasad. He has 50 cents area, and he and his wife alone, they are looking into it. Now, of course, I calculated except for 3 or 4 persons employed for harvesting the coconut, the entire other operations are done by him. Even the opening of basins, and the major components there are, he has about 9 dairy, and which the milk he distributes not for just our normal price, he goes individually and distributes for 50 rupees per liter. 9 cows. If a cow stops milking, he immediately sells it, buys one which is going into milking. And that is one income. Second is he has a buffalo. Then he has around 25 goats, the kids which he sells. Then he has poultry. Then he has large tanks in that 50 cent area of fisheries. So it's not crop alone over there. Rather, it's more of the other enterprises they had, coming to the economics of it. But rather, as sir said, when it comes reducing the number of crops and other things, diversity does decline over there. But this person, I was saw the data that I checked several times, because we have one of my officers is the nodal officer of that Agriculture Knowledge Center. She's in charge of the farm. We went there, cross-checked the data. He gets 8 lakhs profit from that 50 cents. But when we saw that profit is mostly from this particular enterprises that I listed out before. That is the fact. Yeah.
Thank you. I think clearly they have thought about all these issues. It is in the works, and I think the financial viability and the earning ability, and he said it's a bankable project. So if NABARD is looking at it, obviously they will look at all these things.
They have distributed it.
And about the 8 lakh income, you are saying that it's a model example that you are showing.
Yeah, it's a critical example.
How much it is replicable is it also depends on the enterprise of the person who is running it.
Yeah, and the person who is running it. That's the farm family has to decide, because they are going to go entirely into this.
Good. I think one last question, sir, to you.
Yes, sir. Excellent presentation, sir. Just one clarification. The carbon source and sink you mentioned, sir.
Yes.
I found that number actually, is it source, it is something like 3,000, whereas sink it was 60,000 something.
Yeah, the reason for that is that because it's a homestead model, and there is a predominance of trees over there. So when trees the population of trees are in, because there are a lot of teak also over there, coconut-based homestead it is. So there, the sink is more. But when you go to a rice-based system, because when we calculated our rice-based IFS, the source was more. And eventually we made it into negative by planting Glyricidea along the boundaries. So there we could slightly increase the sink than the source. So that's what I said. First, what we need is an assessment of what is the present situation. According to that only we need to bring about interventions. Now if you take our particular typical homestead in Kerala, I think definitely the sink will be more. That will be more.
Okay, I think, okay. Balakrishnan. Yeah, how can I not let Dr. Balakrishnan ask a question?
Sir, thank you, sir. It's a great model. In my home, the same model but failed because of my job and other engagements.
You are not enterprising enough.
Sir, sir, this State Biodiversity Board, based on that Rebuild Kerala initiative, selected 100 custodian farmers from to implement this program. Their mandate is to conserve agro-biodiversity in the custodian farmer field itself, because anyway they are already doing the conservation as well as this integrated model. If you can link this program with that custodian farmer program, I think it will be very easy in the initial stage. Otherwise, in the initial stage itself, if it won't get a better result. So my humble suggestion is that custodian farmer program can be linked with this project.
Sir, we are willing, for anyone who comes, we are willing. And now, anyway, in Biodiversity Board, George Thomas sir is there. He's an agronomist just like me. We are colleagues also. We're only happy to associate with you. There's no problem in that.
Interesting. I think leverage the personal equation to get things done.
Yeah, our basic objective is to develop such things. And while we are in service, as far as I am there, my institute is there, we are willing to help, no problem.
So Balakrishnan, clearly he is open to that suggestion, and please take it seriously.
Yes, yes.
And so I think tyranny of the clock, we need to close this session. Just a few things. We talked about multiple components of a comprehensive solution to address the nutrition, climate change, and this multi-dimensional problem. You know, it's clear that our country, largely through the efforts of Professor Swaminathan and other people, is producing enough food today, I mean calorific value food, for people not to go hungry. And access to those foods also, even in low income and other groups, is also being made possible through certain acts like the Food Security Act, Moringa, and some of those things which actually target some of those sections who are weak in making sure that they are empowered to access the food. But the hidden hunger, the nutritional deficiencies still remain. And that's very, very important for a country like India, which is growing and developing and trying to catch up with the rest of the developed world, or be the leader among the developed world. Because nutrition not only leads to stunting and other things, it leads to mental stunting. The intellectual ability of see, if we have to make the population of our country an asset, it is important that they start thinking, they start innovating, they start dissecting issues and come up with logical solutions for which the mental abilities, and these are compromised if the nutrition is not balanced. So it's very important discussion that we are having. In fact, none of these are a silver bullet. I think that is what is very clear from these discussions. You need to have a multi-dimensional, multi-pronged approach. There could be the issues which we have not discussed here, but we are touching the tips of the iceberg in terms of nutri-gardens, how to integrate them to be revenue generators, because once you generate revenue, the persons can access other foods even if he is not cultivating. How do we leverage the diversity that we have in tubers, and tuber being largely a vegetatively propagated crop, there's a problem of maintaining heterozygosity or the genetic diversity, because this is clonally propagated. So these things, you know, these are having a scientific dimension of the solution, which is the foundation on which many, many other issues like policy, politics, emotions, the cultural aspects, all these things have to be overlaid. So I think we have all said enough. I think, and I really want to thank the audience for the wonderful participation. Please put your hands together for the wonderful efforts that our speakers here took to actually share their ideas. Thank you all very much, and I hope we are all adjourning for lunch unless the organizers have any announcement to make. Thank you all very much.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for your coordination and moderating the discussion. And we are reassembled here for 2:15 for the next session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Jacob John, we'll interact. I will come to Karamana. Yes. The last time I visited Karamana was when we were in our college, second year.
Recording stopped.